Hello and welcome to Future Commerce. This is a bit of a different episode for us today. This is the audio version of Insiders number 78, Brands and the Snyder Cut. If you want to get all of our essays on the days that they drop, which is about every Tuesday, give or take, you can go get all of this and more at futurecommerce.fm. More episodes of this podcast are also available at futurecommerce.fm or under the name Future Commerce wherever podcasts are found. This is from Insiders number 78, Brands and the Snyder Cut, co-authored by myself, Philip Jackson, and Brian Lang, and it was published on March 30th, 2021. There was a time on Future Commerce Insiders when we warned you of the inequality that existed between retailer and consumer. In those days, we warned of a coming future where brands, desperate to stand out in a gulf of lookalikes, would use whatever means necessary to close the sale with a customer. This race to the bottom of best practices, also known as dark patterns, would result in an ever-devolving relationship with the consumer. We now see the pendulum swinging back. When we look back to 2021, those of us in brand leadership will recognize that this was a pivotal moment. 2021 was the year that online voices wielded unprecedented and persuasive power over corporations. Customers have greater power than ever over corporations, and they wield it with surprising efficacy. Post-pandemic, in the era of social justice, the customer is always right. Voice of the customer. In our 2020 report, Retail Rebirth, we foresaw this change in the relationship with the customer. Quote, retailers who adapt to meet customers where they're at now and 6 weeks from now not only exemplify a new paradigm for personalization, but will set a new bar for what retail looks like in 2020 and beyond, end quote. Perhaps we were a little too rosy. Two key things have happened in the past month that are leading indicators for how corporations are engaging with their audiences. Both events were reactionary efforts by corporations to satiate online demands. The first, Kellogg's, brought their cereal straws out of retirement after 12 long years, and it was thanks to online customer petitions. The second was Zack Snyder's recut of the 2017 film Justice League, which finally made it to release. Both represent a new age of audience engagement, leading brands to innovation, and both point at a potential future of brand-to-customer engagement, and not necessarily for the benefit of brands or consumers. Let's start with cereal straws. Kellogg's cereal straws were discontinued in 2009. Recently, an online petition hosted on change.org brought about the reissue, with over 80,000 signatures demanding that the products once again grace store shelves. The sugary breakfast accessory will once again adorn store shelves in 2021, brought back by a nostalgic millennial audience who is trading in avocado toast for protein-packed DTC cereals such as Magic Spoon. Nostalgic reanimation of dead products is nothing new to CPG. Surge Soda recently made a comeback after all. And this is the method by which cereal straws is reappearing, and we find that novel. This comes at a time when CPG brands are under fire for their lack of transparency around hiring and employment practices of underrepresented minority groups. A traditionally stalwart category is being upended by DTC challengers, while also being dragged into the digital era due to last-mile delivery innovation. I'm talking about Instacart. And for these brands, being customer-obsessed is a brand new concept. Our read is that this newfound customer obsession, combined with the need for innovation, while competing downstream with challengers, is what is causing this reactionary behavior. Give the people what they want from a product perspective, because after all, structural change in how we go to market and how we hire and employ takes so much longer to institute. I think it's worth the reminder, social media is not your community. Reboots and reshoots. In big media entertainment, we're seeing similar effects. HBO Max launched amid the pandemic, and Warner Brothers Studios are hungry to grab market share. In the crowded streaming platform space, there's little room for differentiation outside of intellectual property. Warner Brothers has IP in spades and has tried, unsuccessfully, to build a cinematic universe around its most valuable asset, DC Comics. And they've done that for the better part of the 2010s. The Snyder Cut, as it is known, began as an online rumor in 2018. Zack Snyder, the director which began the project, left in the early stages of principal photography following the tragic death of his daughter. Joss Whedon, of Marvel Avengers fame, came in to complete the project. The reviews weren't great. Whedon, well, he took Snyder's dark take, he added some humor through some reshoots, and he clipped some story arcs to fit the movie into a tight 2-hour runtime. The movie was a flop, and fans were outraged. Rumors turned into confirmation that the Snyder Cut existed, but it was unconfirmed, until Jason Momoa confirmed in 2019 that he had seen the Snyder Cut. Warner Brothers, while they were busy building the HBO Max streaming platform, approached Snyder with the option to recut the film to appease fans. In the end, fans got their wish, bringing the film, which did not exist in part from rumor and online intrigue, into existence. The cost to the studio? Reshoots and VFX work to the tune of $70 million. There are unintended consequences of bowing to the loudest voices online, and in our opinion, the effects of the Snyder Cut are not trivial. According to Jeff Kanata of the Slash Filmcast, it ruins Superman for an entire generation. While the recut movie fixes the 2017 release and makes for an arguably better story, it is a very dark take on Superman, which gives us major 2020 vibes. Essentially, anyone with any element of power will use that power to dark ends. Superman, often known as the Boy Scout, has historically been depicted as fighting for truth, justice, and the American way. But in an America that is post-truth and is wrestling with its own indignities and injustices, the American way is an idea that has lost meaning to this generation. And so, Snyder ruined Superman for an entire generation of children. A new late-stage retail. Similarly, online activists may be ruining CPG and media for a generation. Operating a brand in this present environment is fraught, to say the least. Customers having power over brands is a role reversal that we never saw coming. In 2020, pre-pandemic, we wrote about the concept we called late-stage retail. An outgrowth of late capitalism, late-stage retail was described as the yawning inequality between the products and channels that a brand is offering to the consumer and the methods by which they persuade the consumer to purchase them. Now, instead, customers persuade brands. While cereal straws seem like a benign example of activism that brings about action, the line between meme and activism is quite thin. After all, the GameStop short squeeze started as a meme, and it quickly became a modernist David and Goliath story. Retail investors versus hedge funds. Concerted efforts and online organizing have proven that even the most powerful and well-capitalized corporations on Earth don't stand a chance against a well-organized mob. The tables have turned, and small groups can hold extraordinary power. Let's hope they use it for good. Maybe, I don't know, hear me out, maybe corporations bending to online mobs is bad. Maybe it isn't. But one thing's for sure, we're never going back to a time before the Snyder Cut.